to you today. We're going to talk today about 7 tools, right? 7 tools to help you beat conflict. All right. I think conflict has had its way with us for far too long. And so I want to give you 7 tools to beat conflict. And with that in mind, if you did not see the live from yesterday, I really want to encourage you to go back and have a look at that. It just really talks about 3 mindsets that are crucial. Actually, if you just practice those 3 mindsets, no matter what conflict situation you're in, you bring those 3 mindsets into those settings. Oh my goodness, you are going to do infinitely better than how you have done in the past. All right. So 7 tools to beat conflict. Do me a favor, say hello from wherever you might be watching from. And I am going to switch over here to me notes. If you bear with me 1 second, we will dive in. I was having the privilege of working with an absolutely gorgeous couple this morning who conflict, let's just say, is a major issue for. And so many light bulbs were turning on. But I want to say again, these tools fit on top of the 3 mindsets that we spoke about in yesterday's live. So the first tool that I want to give to you, it has to do with maintaining your identity and your integrity, right? Your identity and integrity. After you get your mindset sorted, then you want to make a decision about how you react in conflict. You want to make a decision about how you react in relationships, right? That you are going to practice CARS, right? For expectations, which is clear and spoken and realistic and agreed upon when you have expectations for other people. Otherwise, you don't have a right to have that expectation. And even when you have practiced CARS, which is a separate tool, if you just pick that up real quick there, it gives you a platform upon which you can say, hey, what happened, right? When you are believing the best instead of assuming the worst. 2 more tools right there about the other person. And so simply what I want to challenge you about is that you make a decision, right? Your identity is not based upon your performance. Your identity is based upon your birth, right? But in knowing that, right, and on top of that, how you want to show up in conflict, right, is hugely important when it comes to maintaining personal integrity, right? And being known for the type of person that Deb used to say to me, I can say anything to you. I'm not afraid of saying anything to you. I can talk to you about anything. And then there was a season in our story where she's going to talk to me about anything without me being set off or triggered or whatever, right? I used to be the safest person in all the world. And then I went through a season where I stopped being that safe person, right? For a lot of different reasons, right? So part of that was I lost my integrity. Part of that was I did not maintain the 3 mindsets that we spoke about yesterday. I didn't maintain the mindset that I'm partnering together with her to build a future, right? I sometimes got lost in the moment, right? And a lot of lads can get lost in the moment, thinking that they're just talking about what's going on right now. But the girls are like, they've got all sorts of stuff that's connected in every situation, in every circumstance, right? I lost for a season the mindset of being respectful in the process because, hurt people. And sometimes when you get hurt and you hold on to it, right? And that's another decision you want to make for yourself. How much hurt do you want to hold on to? When is the amount of hurt that you're holding on to going to be enough? It's time to let it go. It's time to forgive. It's time to release. It's time to receive a grace that you are not able to receive as long as you're holding on to the hurt and harboring the resentment and the bitterness. Maintaining a mindset of, I'm going to show up respectful in conflict no matter what, is massive. And the third mindset that we talked about yesterday is empathy and encouragement. I mean, when was the last time somebody encouraged you in conflict? Oh, you will be head and shoulders above the rest. Empathy and encouragement in conflict. If you want to know more about that, go listen to the live from yesterday. Okay, so identity and integrity. How do you want to show up in the world? But more particularly, how do you want to show up in conflict? Give this some thought, right? Do you want to be calm? Or do you want to be losing your rag, as we say where I come from, right? And I know some parts of the world, you don't say it calm. You say calm, right? Well, I can't pronounce it like that. So do you want to be calm? Do you want to be encouraging? I mean, hey, if that is how you want to show up, well, people perish because of lack of vision. This is part of your vision for who you want to walk into, who you want to become, if you like. I want to be encouraging. I want to be a listener. I want to be someone who owns and takes responsibility for their stuff, not a defender or minimizer or justifier. I want to be a validator. And I want to be a listener. I want to be an understanding listener with empathy and encouragement. Okay, so listen. Your intention matters massively, right? I am a person who builds positive relationships. If that's who you want to be known for, then you have to be intentional about bringing that philosophy, that mindset into conflict, right? You enter every conversation with the purpose to build a future with that other person, right? And not getting locked into the here and now. If you don't enter into that conflict with intention, then you will devolve into your defenses. You will devolve or denigrate or deteriorate into your defenses. And defenses, gang, always escalate conflict, never de-escalates conflict. How are you, Jen? Thanks for saying hey. Happy Easter weekend to you, sis. Oh, you're in Canada. Good for you. Love it. All right, so listen to me. If you've got any questions on anything I say, pop them in the chat, all right? And I will, I'll answer them as we go, or I'll answer them later on. So the last thought I'll share here underneath identity and underneath integrity is this. God wants to use the conflict to improve the relationship, to build the relationship, not to destroy it. And so how you show up just matters hugely. Okay, I hope that helps. All right, now let me give you the second tool, right? Second tool. Remember, you're dealing with another person who is a survivor, who's experienced trauma, probably, even if we're not talking about abuse, right? You're dealing with another human being. So sometimes we forget to put the humanity or the humaneness into the other person. We see them as the enemy. We see them as someone who has no emotion, because sometimes it appears that it doesn't matter what you say to them. It feels like it's like water off a duck's back. It makes no difference at all. It's a lie. It's not true. Do not believe what you see. I remember in computer days when the software, was upgraded, there was this thing that came out called WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Well, that's not always true with people. What you see is not always what's going on underneath the surface. You're just seeing the top of the iceberg. There's so much more going on underneath the surface. When you put the humanness back into the person that you are in conflict with, it aids you in having compassion and empathy and patience and understanding. Well, what if the person that you're talking to was dying? How would you speak to them then? My father-in-law just passed away just a couple of weeks ago. People took great care in how they spoke to him, how they prayed for him and his bride and kiddos. There's not one person who isn't dying that you are in conflict with. They call that mortality motivation. Mortality motivation. I think sometimes we forget that people are mere mortals. Remember, you're dealing with a mere mortal. Most people are living from fear, uncertain about their future, doubting that they're loved, accepted, worthy, and secure. You can be a channel of that even in the midst of conflict, when you live from your belovedness, your acceptance, your worth, and your security. Let me give you the third tool that I want to challenge you with, that frankly, try any of these without Jesus as your power source and forget about it, as they say in New York. You're not going to make it, okay? So number 3 is practice emotional regulation. Emotional regulation. You will either regulate your emotion, gang, in conflict, or you will be an emotional contagion. What does that mean? Emotional contagion means that you will mimic the other's emotions. You have in your neurochemistry something that's called mirror neurons. And mirror neurons are the reason why you yawn when somebody else yawns. Like, just even talking about it kicks those mirror neurons. And just by me yawning, even with me hand over me gob, partially, you probably yawned. If you do not become intentional about regulating your emotion, will become an emotional contagion. I mean, emotional contagion doesn't even sound good. It isn't good. It isn't good. You don't want to mimic, right? You don't want to be a thermometer that is reading what other people are giving off. You want to be the thermostat, right, that regulates the temperature. You want to be conscious to choose as you are conscious about what is surfacing, right? You want to regulate whatever is surfacing for the purpose and the context that you are in. You take the reins. And a lot of times it doesn't feel like you have control over your emotions. I promise you, you do. You can't control whether they surface, but you can absolutely control what you do with them. And sometimes that might mean that you need to take a beat, as my kids say, to calm down. Calm down, right? Emotions happen. Emotions happen in the moment, right? Feelings are the lingering effects of emotion, and the meaning that you give to what has happened will cause you to continue to feel the feels. Some people have all the feels, right? Emotion happens in the moment, and the feelings are the meaning, which are the thoughts that you have about the experience that you had when the emotion surfaced. Halloween. And somebody comes around the corner and goes, boo! And you jump out of your shoes. The emotion in that moment is fear and panic. But later on, you still feel the residue of the emotion that you felt. And you have what we call self-talk, right? That creates feelings of fear because of the thoughts that you're having in the moment. You regulate your emotions by breathing. Take a deep breath there, will you, Kev? People used to tell me from time to time. Not only that, but motion changes emotion. Motion changes emotion. So move, breathe, take deep breaths. My watch reminds me every hour to take a breather, to take a beat. And then movement is amazing for how, even when you don't feel, it's the last thing you want to do is move. Your spouse can, be on their way home from work or at home when you're on your way home from work and they are talking to you and it is not, let's say, the most loving way that they could be talking to you. Your commitment is to be present. When ugly comes in your direction, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the person that's delivering the ugly. You're committed to being present. You're committed to breathing. You're committed to listening, to understand, not to respond. You may need to move because emotion may need to change the emotion that's rising in you right now. And you will definitely need to manage your self-talk, the conversation that's going on inside of your head when the conversation that's going outside of your head coming in your direction before you choose to respond. We were trained to attack and destroy when anything ugly came in our direction. It has done us a world of hurt. And so my encouragement to you is to practice emotional regulation. And if you need some help with that, we have a beautiful team of coaches and counselors who would be only delighted to help you with that. And if you say, Kev, there's no hope for me, my emotional regulator is broken. Well, that's a lie from hell. And it's Easter. And if ever there was a time for us to believe that what was dead could be brought back to life, you will know him, the fellowship of his suffering, and the power of his resurrection, the scriptures say to us. Okay, let me give you number 4. Number 4 is that you reflect and you rephrase or you reaffirm when you are in conflict, right? And the way you do this, oh, lovely, I wish me iPad was working, but I'm not seeing it work, so let me just unplug it. You know the way, when you unplug stuff and then you plug it back in, it tends to, maybe work. But look, I'm going to give you an acronym. Okay, I love acronyms. If you hang around with me for any length of time, I love some acronyms. So the first letter in the acronym is F, right? Because look, I think whoa, it's here to play. Yay! The first letter in the acronym, lovelies, is F, because when people tell you, I'm fine. I think I got it carried away. So hold on. Let me take me out of that picture. All right. So look, I'm fine. So they say, you know what? I think I can add me and I can make me smaller. I think, can I? I don't know. Maybe I can. Can I? No. Okay. I can't. So let me move this over a little bit more. Okay. The first letter in the acronym for reflecting and rephrasing and reaffirming is when you're in conflict, especially, but all communication when you're in conflict is the feelings, right? Is that you want to pay attention to what they might be feeling. And if you don't know, you can just guess, because the beautiful thing is you could be wrong. Lads, you could be wrong. You don't have to have your finger right on the pulse. You can say something like, I'm sensing that you're feeling sad. I'm sensing that you're feeling mad. Can you, am I in the ballpark, or can you describe what's going on, emotionally? Because you don't want to get lost in the weeds and the facts, right? You want to get to, the fight is never about the facts. The fight is always about what's being felt and the message that's being sent, the belief that's underneath that, all right? So feelings is the first. And then, because people say, I'm fine. So let's take that. Fine. I'm fine. And all the different variations that it comes in, and let's unpack it a little bit, all right? Because see, I is for interests, right? Interests, all right? And what does their interests, Kev, have to do with conflict? Well, something that's important to them. Their interests are going to ooze out in conflict, right? Right? So look, when they say to you, you left the pizza box in the oven again, instead of chucking it in the bin where it belongs. You never put the dishes from the dishwasher from the sink into the dishwasher. There's been piles of laundry for weeks, sitting there waiting to be folded, right? Now listen, I'm just making this stuff up, I promise you. But the point is, right, that what interest might that reveal in the one that's making the complaint? What interest? What interest do you think? Pop it in the chat. What interest do you think that that complaint might make about the pizza box, about the dishes, or about the laundry, right? Yeah, it's important. It's important to have an ordered home. It's important. It's an interest to the one that you love to have an ordered home. So you want to listen through the facts to get to the feelings and the beliefs, right? You want to focus on the big idea, not the small facts. What's the big idea here? Stop fighting all the piddly little facts and keep listening through the facts for the feelings and the beliefs. And when you do, they will feel heard, and more than that, they will feel understood. And so the next letter is the letter N. And the letter N reveals that, look, what do they need, right? You know, they generally need to feel heard. They generally need your respect, like we talked about earlier. They generally need to feel supported and not alone. So often in conflict, people feel alone. I need you to. Sometimes I'll even say it to you. So if you're just listening for the need, sometimes they'll spell it out for you. And I want to encourage you to listen for the need, not the tone. A lot of times we get thrown off because of the tone of voice. Well, if you just talk to me different. Hey, you're giving their tone meaning that you don't have to give. You can choose to focus on the need rather than on the tone. You've got your emphasis on the wrong syllable. Listen for the need, not the tone, right? Listen through the tone to hear the need. And right now, we're not solving. We're just reflecting. We're rephrasing and we're reaffirming. All right. And so E is expectations, right? And they may share their expectations in here. I expected you to. I thought you were going to. When you said that, that made me think that you were going to look after. I'm hearing that when I said this, you thought I was going to do that, right? Oh, and then as you address their expectations, right? Which I talked about earlier, we've got another tool for called CARS. And if you just want to write CARS in the chat, we'll make sure that we get you that tool, right, for dealing with expectations. Actually, I'll give you a bonus one and assumptions as well. You want to take turns, like you want to speak up, right? Like you don't want, you don't want to stuff your perspective or your side. You want to participate and not just blame them for talking all the time. You want to ask questions that draw them out. And not expect them to validate or comply or respect or even respond ideally like the way you would like for them to be. Love oftentimes calls for us to love the one that we're in conversation or in communication or in conflict with for where they are, not for where we'd like for them to be. And we get ourselves off track a lot of times when that happens. And then look, it's really helpful when it comes to expectations, when it comes to reflecting, when it comes to rephrasing, when it comes to reaffirming, to just let them know how they're coming across. Hey, can I tell you how I'm the read that I'm getting from you right now? Would that be okay? Or can I tell you the story that I'm telling myself in my head right now about what you're saying to me? Few people say no. Some people will say no. Sometimes the ones you love will say no. I don't care what story you're telling yourself. Most people, if they have a care, I'm like, oh, story? You've got a story? Yeah, tell me a story, please. Love to hear your stories. Well, the story that I'm telling myself right now is that you don't really care about what actually happened from my perspective. Is that true, or is that a porky? Like, am I in the wrong field altogether, or am I up your street? And then they've got an opportunity to say, are we really coming across that way to you? We're talking about reflecting, rephrasing, reaffirming. All right. And so look, I got three more real quick. All right. You want to practice healthy endings, right? You want to practice healthy endings, even if you and the acronym there that I was giving you was for number 4, when people say they're fine, and that will help you in communication, like oftentimes, honestly, I believe, gang. So let me come back to the main screen here, and then let me give you this. A lot of times we don't have healthy endings in conflict, right? So a lot of times people exit the room, they slam the door, they hang up the phone, right? And so look, The way, some tools for you to have a healthy ending is for you to actually tell them that you appreciate them. This is the part of the encouragement. Like, I appreciate you working through this with me. I appreciate you valuing our relationship enough to have this conversation, because I know it's tough, and I know we don't like have a bow, right? Because you don't always get a bow. I am a person who would love to have a bow at the end of every conversation. Well, they're not always available. And so the way that I've learned to deal with it is by having a practice of having healthy endings as best as I can, right? Look, if you've messed up in it, then apologize fast. Let your apologies come fast, right? In relationship, right? Don't, and you are functioning in ego. And do you know what ego is? Well, can I show you? I'm going to show you what ego is. What ego is, gang, ego is when we, edge God out. That's what ego is. It's when God doesn't get a look in anywhere, right? And when you refuse to apologize, you're building a pressure cooker for the future that is going to explode. So why do that? You're not on trial. You're loved, accepted, worthy, and secure, right? So apologize fast, own it. And you can salvage in the conflict, even the conversation, right? All right, so let me give you the second last one, right? Is recognize and praise the good in others. Recognize and praise the good in others, right? When we respect others, and when we build up others, right, in conflict and out of conflict, right, even when you don't agree, wow, it does wonders for relationship. It does wonders for relationship. And they will have conflict with you out of collaborating with you, not out of mistrusting you. If you build them up, even, and respect them even when you don't agree. See, trust is built from encouragement. Calling out in others what sometimes they don't even see in themselves. Sometimes they don't even believe in themselves. Say it anyway, especially if you're seeing it. Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate you, being willing to go here with me. I don't think a lot of people would do that. I respect that you shared this in the conversation. And I feel, I feel privileged to have you trust me with your heart in that way. We say to people here around here, what if there was a place so safe where the very best and worst about you could be known, and you could be loved more, not less, in the telling of it? What if there was a place so safe where the very best about you could be known, and you could be loved more, not less, in the telling of it? God wants to make you one of those people, not just BCI. Yeah, healthy endings, and then recognize and praise the good in others. Every piece of praise in the conflict diffuses. Every piece of praise in conflict diffuses and de-escalates the situation. And what it also does is it sets your focus on the good, not the grime. And then the last thought I have for you today as a tool in the midst of conflict is build great relationships by talking about the future. The scripture says, without vision, people perish. And a lot of times in the pain, we lose sight of the vision. People need to feel like they're building something together for the future. We are in this together. And a lot of times, if you use I all the time, then you might want to become more intentional about speaking in the we. Yeah? Because when you lose sight of your vision, you can get taken down. When you lose sight of vision, you build tents around the negatives, the difficult, and that's all you're able to see inside the tent. And the only place you're able to go when you lock yourself inside that tent is down to a sinkhole. There's nothing good that comes out of it. And so what you need to do is stop camping. Put up a sign, no camping here. Build great relationships by talking about the future together. And you will have so much better conflict. I really appreciate how you're willing to risk having a difficult conversation with me about this, because we don't want to stay here. Like we want to solve this, or we want to work together to bring a solution to this. Even if the solution is for a time we're on different pages while we're trying to work together to get on the same page. I appreciate that about you so much. When was the last time somebody said that to you? In a fight. In a fight, for goodness sake. It's my birthday weekend. And in fact, I'm claiming the whole week. But it's my birthday on the 16th, if you want to know for sure. And so we're giving away a boatload of gifts. And so on the bottom of your screen, you should be seeing a ticker that's coming across. And it basically just says, look, if you go to bit.ly/KD and then lowercase giveaway, there's a boatload of gifts that we're giving up to $1,100. And let me tell you, there's a lot of people who will qualify for all of that. But if you just would take the time to do one thing, one of the questions in the giveaway is a one-question survey. And if you would just answer that, and it basically says, in your most important relationship, what is the biggest thing you're struggling with? That's it. And I want you to give me as much as you can, right? Your identity will be protected. Your name won't be shared with anybody. I will see it. And that's it. And because we're putting together some training and some courses and some programs, and we want to make sure that we're tailoring them and customizing them to our community, right? And so we want to bless you in that. And so, yeah, and there's 5 gifts. There's 5 gifts, and they're worth a boatload, and they're legit, gang, okay? So I got an email back from somebody last night that says, I don't trust you. And I'm like, what don't you trust about me, right? Look, am I crushed? No. Do I understand why? No. Am I bothered? Not really, not really, right? But I entered into conversation. Please, can you help your brother out and let me know what have I done to cause you to mistrust me? And if there's anything that I can do to repair that, I would be delighted to the best of my ability, right? So, hey, there's nothing fishy. There's no catches. We are asking that if you've been blessed by this or by any of our team, if you give us a testimony, we will gift you like way far and beyond the small ask that we're asking of you. And so, hey, I wish you a wonderful rest of your Good Friday, a wonderful Easter weekend, and my kids and grandkids from North Carolina surprised me last night, so I'm running home to enjoy the rest of the afternoon with them. Please be praying for our intensive couple this morning. We just finished at lunchtime, for God to move in them through this weekend and shift in them what needs to be shifted, and bring them back next week ready for this to be closed out, and just work a resurrection miracle in the midst of their relationship. And if there's anything else we can do for you, send me a message. Hit a thumbs up if this has blessed your socks or your heart. And do me a favor, will you just share this with somebody else who you think might be helped by it also? And don't worry about doing all of this at one time. Maybe just focus on one or two, in the next conflict situation that you have. Blow you away, I promise. Even if you just take the 3 mindsets that we were talking about yesterday. But whatever you do, go to bit.ly, capital KD, lowercase giveaway, and there'll be a boatload in there for you. Until then, I'm going to say cheerio, God bless you, and we'll see you down the road. Take care.